we had some fun performances tonight on Monday night to talk about for the winning team, especially. But I mean, one guy at least on the losing team we'll talk about and give a little bit of flowers to.
Definitely. I thought Siakam tonight was incredible. And I thought the TJ McConnell tonight was actually enormous as well. So it's going to be more than one, but this has to start with Jaylen Williams to me.
Absolutely.
I think that this is my favorite game any player has played in the playoffs this year. And it's not because it's the best game any player has played in the playoffs this year necessarily, although it's certainly very high up there, I would argue. The reason that I think this is my favorite game any player has played in the playoffs this year is the way that it started for Jaylen Williams.
Yeah.
He really struggled to create his own shot early on in the game. I think I counted 4 or 5 missed shots, missed a couple of middies in the first quarter, missed a 3 in the first quarter, missed a drive at the rim. I can't remember if he got blocked or whatever. But what did he do? He worked his way into the game purely with like off-ball movement and defensive energy and back cuts. Like, I think I counted that he scored 5 times alone in this game off of back cuts toward the rim. It was such an impressive, sharp way to work your way into the basketball game when you didn't have it going early. And that worked his mind into the game. And then once he started to get a rhythm from making those shots at the rim, then you started to see the rest of it kind of snowball down. And he really got going there, especially in the third quarter. I think that's why this is like one of my favorite games of the playoffs, because there was adversity early on, and then he just figured it out and figured out how to play and just went for it and dominated.
It's good that you brought up the off-ball movement, because I had that as well, specifically with him and kind of OKC in general, right? One of the stats that came out of game 4 was the Thunder's 10 assists or whatever. They had 23 tonight. Shai had 10 assists unto himself in this game. I think maybe, did we hit the number? We had to have been close. He may not have got there with the rebounds for our bet.
It was 42 and a half, and he ended up at 43. And then what did we had to have gotten there with TJ, because TJ was awesome tonight. And then we had free throws for J-Dub, and J-Dub got to the line way more often. I think he made 9 free throws.
9 of 12. Yeah.
Yeah. We nailed it.
Yeah, because Shai, Shai's going to give you 30. Like, that's just what he does. He didn't give us the 5 rebounds, but he made up for it with the 10 assists. So really, really good bounce back for him. Here's what I love about J-Dub is, like, I feel like he's taken some heat throughout the playoffs, sometimes unfairly, sometimes fairly, after the game 6 game against the Nuggets, right? But I say this all the time. It's been a common theme for me coming on these episodes. I love when players and teams respond. And just looking at J-Dub's continued growth throughout these playoffs is really, really impressive. And I don't think this would surprise anybody, but you look at a lot of Oklahoma City's losses, and there are games where he didn't play well, or at least at the very least wasn't efficient. And so it just tells you how important he is to this team. And the fact that they are on the brink of an NBA championship speaks to how good he is, because when he plays well, they win. And I know SGA is the engine, but I don't know, Sam. I thought J-Dub was the best player on the floor tonight for either team. And Shai had some good defensive plays as well, but I thought start to finish, Dub was just unbelievable. He had a ball screen nuance tonight that was like, oh my gosh. Like, it was just ridiculous with what he's able to do in ball screens. And some of his finishing, he has some really creative, like, scoop finishes and high glass and stuff like that.
He's awesome with the one-handed gather stuff. Really sharp.
It's not just a scoop. It's the one-handed gather. That's right.
Yep, the snaking and like the Euro step into making shots at the rim. He has a lot of different tools in his toolbox to be able to get all the way to the basket and then finish effectively. He has the super long arms as well. Just obviously, like, genetically, he was gifted with this ability to finish at the rim in such a unique way that, I am a huge, huge fan, as people know. I mean, I remember, last year that Jason Timpf and I did a thing where we tried to predict like the next, all-stars in the NBA, like players that have never made an all-star game that, are going to make an all-star game. My first pick was Jaylen Williams because it was just so obvious to me that you could see where this is going for him. He goes tonight, just to read off the stat line, 40 points on 25 attempts from the field, 14 of 25 from the field, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 turnover, 9 of 12 from the line. Just completely dominated. Completely dominated this game.
Can I ask you, do you think Indiana needs to change the matchup? Like, we both are huge Aaron Nesmith fans, but do you try Siakam on him? Do you try something? I mean, I know what I would do. We're going to talk about the ball screen coverage from Indiana and why they continue to go over the top from 45 feet. Like, I respect a lot of the things Indiana does. So when I question something like that, Sam, I try to go, okay, what am I not seeing? What am I missing? What would be their response to me if I said, why are you going over the top on a SGA screen at 45 feet? I don't have the answer. I would love for somebody to explain to me why you simply don't go under in that scenario. We talked about doing it with J-Dub. Is it that? Would you switch the matchup? The thing is, it's tough to switch the matchup against the 2 big lineup because now Nesmith has to go guard Chet, or maybe that's what you do. Maybe you put Nesmith on Chet and see if he survives there. Do you think Siakam would do a better job on J-Dub? Because that's what's really destroying them right now. Shai's going to go get 30. It's Dub that's really hurting them.
I wouldn't switch the matchup. And the reason I say that is twofold. Siakam has been so huge for them in help defense.
That's true. It's a great point.
Like him being able to cut off different lanes, him being able to help off of Chet, and them still being able to get out to like a contested shot on Chet if he's open from 3. Chet made one of those tonight from 3 from the corner. But Siakam is so huge for them being able to like stop them getting all the way to the rim. Obviously, they've gotten to the rim successfully in the last 2 games, particularly, but like, I think it'd be even easier for them. The second thing is that Siakam's fine as a ball screen defender. I don't want to make him fight over the top of ball screens all game, especially if that's going to be their defensive strategy. Is going over the top of ball screens like this, especially given that he's really their only like offensive weapon in the starting lineup right now. In the starting lineup, create his own shot because of where Hallie is with his right calf, seemingly. So I don't know, man. Like I think that they're probably doing the right thing. It's just that again, like we forget this, because we have like pigeon-sized brains. But like Nesmith got hurt at the end of the Knicks series too. Yep. And he's probably not 100% right now either. And he's getting crushed by J-Dub, who's an all-NBA player, but I don't know that they have a better option now either.
No, it's all fair. It's just something I wanted to throw out. I wasn't trying to take shots at Nesmith. I'm a huge fan of Nesmith. It's just like we've kind of had these conversations. We had the conversation about how Shai attacked him at the end of game 4 with the switches. And then now Jaylen Williams goes crazy tonight. And I just wondered if I'm curious if there's something they can change up, if there's something different they can do matchup wise, or do you just stay with it and hope maybe you contain him? I still think that the under the ball screen is something I would love to see them try and go from there and hope, because you can see both of their energy levels, just like their eyes light up whenever they get a ball screen and they over it. Both of those guys, and it's so far away from the rim, Sam, that it's Miles Turner, even Obi, Tony Bradley for minutes tonight, trying to defend in space where Shai and J-Dub can snake, they can come back, they can kick it if they draw help. And I just feel like it's putting the Pacers defense in a way tougher situation than it needs to be.
Could not agree more. I mean, the first set of the game was like a Hartenstein cross screen for Shai to come across the set up to the opposite wing, and then just goes and sets a ball screen for J-Dub. I mean, the other thing that Indiana's doing with ball screens is like they're blitzing a little bit more consistently than what they were early in the playoffs or in the series, or they're like playing at the level with Turner. And it's just like, guys, like Shai can't Shai's going to turn the corner on him. Like, there's just no question about that.
There was one tonight where Toppin was like, so at first I was not going to critique it as hard because I thought they blitzed it, and then they showed the replay and Toppin was there. He was just kind of showing, but then he dropped out, and it was like, well, it barely slowed Shai down. And I think it ended up in a driving kick 3 for somebody, probably Wiggins or Wallace. But it just, I'm a little confused by some of the ball screen coverage decisions from the Pacers is what I would say.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm also very confused by some of those decisions as well. And we've been talking about this like for the last 3 games as well, realistically. Look, to me, when I watch Indiana right now, and this is a credit to Oklahoma City as well, because they do this to you as well. But Indiana's played some tough series in the playoffs to this point as well. They just feel like a team that's like kind of beat up, honestly, and has had to fight through some stuff and has had to deal like with Halliburton with his calf and Neesmith with whatever's going on with his ankle, if I remember correctly. And then Turner again, like, is still not moving super well, I feel like, when he's out there. And, you know, Jarris Walker obviously is hurt right now. Tony Bradley just got back. Like, it just feels like they have a lot going on injury wise right now. And look, we picked Oklahoma City to win this series straight up as well. But it's worth noting that again, Oklahoma City, I think, deserves credit for wearing a team down during the course of a series too. They're super physical. I thought tonight they came out with a real purpose and energy, intensity defensively. That is the reason why they struggled immensely to initiate offense. The Pacers did. I mean, another game where the Pacers have 22 turnovers tonight. Siakam has 6 of them, including 2 in the first 4 minutes. Nembhard has 4. Halliburton has 3. McConnell has 3. Like, they just really, really struggled with the ball pressure from Oklahoma City. This is what Oklahoma City does to you, though. They continue to pressure you and they wear you down. Like, Indiana right now, I think, is another team that played the wear down their opponent's game in the playoffs. I just think that with how injured they are right now, they can't really do that, especially because Halliburton is clearly not remotely 100%. I mean, he has ice on his calf. Like, it was funny. Like, Sean's reported, like, per sources, the calf, he has a calf injury right now. It's like, we can see the ice on his calf. Like, it's right there for us. We got it.
Yeah, it was. I was like, it seems like everybody kind of knows, but Nembhard made some really rough passing decisions tonight. It wasn't his best night. And we give Indiana credit for relentlessness and pace and, like you said, wearing you down. And I think even I forgot a little bit that OKC is doing the same thing back to you, right? And sometimes that plays out in your favor and sometimes it doesn't. And eventually, or it shows up, and eventually it was going to show up, but sometimes it takes a little while. And I think that OKC physicality and energy, and again, depth, right? We talk about Indiana's depth all the time. TJ McConnell this and Obi Toppin and Benedict Mathurin. Well, guess who showed up tonight for the Oklahoma City Thunder? Good thing I don't coach them, because I would have had Aaron Wiggins and Cason Wallace and playing a 6-man rotation. And those guys came in tonight, and you said it. You said Aaron Wiggins shoots the ball too well not to have him on the court. He made shots tonight. And Cason, I want to give Cason a quick shout out here, Sam, because when Indiana cut the lead to 2 off a Siakam offensive rebound and catch and shoot 3, everybody will remember that SGA and J-Dub eventually took over, and they did. But immediately following that, the Thunder actually missed a shot, and Cason Wallace comes up with the offensive rebound, finds J-Dub, or eventually gets to J-Dub, and it's a 3-pointer that answers the Siakam 3, lead back to 5, and then Wallace goes the other end, forces a turnover, gets a steal, and a transition bucket up to 7. And I wanted to give Cason some love for that, because we have been hard on him or like, called out.
Yeah, totally.
Hasn't made threes in this series. I think his first one was in this game. Just the production in his minutes. And he showed up in a huge way tonight. And especially doing little things like that, like winning plays, whatever coach speak you want to use. So I wanted to give Kaysen some love right there.
Look, Oklahoma City doesn't win this game if Kaysen and Aaron Wiggins don't drill 7 threes between the two of them. You know what I mean? Like if they make 3 of them, that's enough to where Indiana's in this game. You know what I mean? So I think that's a critical thing, even beyond Kaysen's continued efforts defensively. He's awesome on that end. We know that he's going to bring it every single night, but the offense was huge tonight. Getting, a team that really has struggled to score bench points. They have 27 bench points tonight in, while Indiana still outscored them from the bench because McConnell and Toppin had 30 between the two of them. It was close enough to where they were able to stem the tide with how good their starting lineup has been. And again, the whole purpose of us saying that they should go back to the 2 big lineup the entire time was to even out the rest of their rotation. It felt like when they went to the Chet starting lineup with Hartenstein coming off the bench, that their rotations were just off. Like for whatever reason, it felt like those guys just weren't super comfortable with how things were kind of coming at them in the minutes that they were coming into the game. And with Hartenstein starting in the game with Chet, even though he plays like, somewhere between 3 and 5 minutes before leaving the court, it seems like it just keeps their rotations in order in a way that they weren't previously.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to put in my notes, like I forgot to write it down, but this kind of jogged my memory that it did seem like Dagnall had his rotations on point tonight. Now it helps when Kaysen comes in and makes shots and is making this defensive disruption, like, and especially one of them, like this is the little differences in success and not. We've talked about how he's been taken advantage of in terms of mismatches, right? Well, tonight Turner gets him on a post up. Wallace fights around, gets a steal. So instead of another Turner catches, gets a bucket, man, Kaysen can't handle the mismatch, the switch. It's a Kaysen steal. We're going the other way. And like, it's just, those are the finite differences between staying on the floor, making a positive impact versus being a negative impact. And yeah, Chet was 1 of 3 again from tonight. Shai was 0 of 3. Caruso was 0 of 3. Obviously, J-Dub finally made some threes. And I actually thought Dort had a pretty solid, like quietly impactful game with offensive rebounds, defensive disruption, some stuff like that. Like you look at the box score for Dort and it's like 9-8, like he filled it up, but there's nothing that just like wows you. I just kept thinking he made impactful play. Like he even had a big 3. He banked it in, but it was an answer 3. And then he had one late that almost was the dagger. Neesmith actually came right back down and made another one. I thought Dort was really good though. Like I thought he had a really good impact.
Dude, I'm so glad you brought up the offensive rebounding. The biggest reason why Oklahoma City won this game, outside of probably J-Dub to me, was they just dominated the possession battle. Like completely dominated the possession battle. Again, 12 more.
I didn't realize how many offensive rebounds they had. Wow.
Yeah, 12 more field goal attempts, 2 more free throw attempts. They turned the ball over 11 times to Indiana's 22 times. They grabbed 19 offensive rebounds. I thought Hartenstein completely dominated the glass tonight. Yeah. Be it either boxing out on the defensive end, getting contested rebounds on the defensive end. He only had a couple of those, but like I felt like his presence in there was huge on the defensive glass. The other guy that like, you brought up Dort's offensive rebounding. The other guy we have to give flowers to is Chet. I mean, I had a college coach that I'm friends with, like a really high level, like high major head coach, text me like the thing that you missed talking about in game 4 was Chet's offensive rebounding. Yeah, like after I had gone back and watched game 4, I completely agreed with him. I even texted him. I was like, yeah, you're 100% right about this. Massive again tonight. He had 5 offensive rebounds. He had 6 defensive rebounds. He had 9 points. I thought he was a monster in this game. He was so good defensively. If you look at the way that he just cuts off angles positionally, if you look at the help defense rotating over, he had that massive block on Siakam. He had a huge block on Turner in the first half. every single place that the Pacers wanted to drive, every single area where the Pacers wanted to try to get into the paint and get paint touches, it felt like the Thunder were just able to swarm them as they got into the paint. And I thought Chet was the biggest reason why. It just felt like they were never easy. It was never easy for them to get into the paint. It was because he's always available there. And I mean, look, again, to me, going to the two big lineup kind of allows for even more of that with Chet. And allows for that. Like if Hartenstein is in the ball screen, you can just have Chet go and deal with that, right? And he can do the Siakam stuff. Like this is the ultimate. And by the way, like with Chet as well, I thought that tonight they came out and let him switch defensively, right? Yeah. Like this is an adjustment they made mid-game for. Like they were totally comfortable with him switching against Halliburton defensively in this game. And they were just like, yep, go ahead. We don't think Halliburton, be it his calf, be it whatever, we don't think he can beat Chet. And Chet was amazing in switch coverages as well whenever he had to guard in ball screens. So like this was I know he had 9 points and 11 rebounds and 3 blocks and went 4 of 15 from the field. I thought Chet was a killer tonight.
Yeah, I thought the defense was superb. Offensively, the offensive rebounding was obviously huge. He started off pretty good. I had the highlight reel like over his head finish or whatever, and then he made the 3. Yeah. The rest of the offense was a little rough. Like, it seems like he's lost I don't know. I'd like to see him take a couple more stretch threes and some of the stuff off the bounce, but he makes up for it with everything else he does. Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought up the switch thing because the thing is, I think Indiana's running out, especially with the Halliburton injury or whatever. They're just kind of running out of options to go to offensively. I mean, it's amazing. Like they lost by 11 and in some ways it wasn't that close, as close as that. And I'm still like, I don't know what to say. Siakam's the only advantage they have right now, in my opinion. And McConnell, like OKC can't keep McConnell out of the lane, which is absolutely crazy. Siakam, I thought, had a really good two-way game, but a large part of, like you said, is Chet, the multiple defenders that they can throw at people, the matchups, the rotations, the closeouts, all of that. I was looking here through the team stats, and one thing we came into this series talking about, Sam, was turnovers and points conceded off of turnovers. And even in game 1, we talked about how even though Indiana had a ton of turnovers, the points conceded off of turnovers was relatively close. Tonight, that was not the case. The 23-11 turnover difference played out in 32-9 points conceded off of turnovers, and OKC outscored Indiana in fast break points.
That's pretty wild. That's really wild, man. Like if you think about that, man, that's hard to, because remember, fathom a little bit.
Coming into the series, Indiana was the best team in the playoffs in points conceded off of turnovers. Not by a lot, but they were actually a little bit better than OKC. And it was like 13 or something like that. And they gave up 32 tonight.
That's crazy. It's genuinely crazy that we're here. I mean, like Caruso was a monster on defense tonight. Just they completely, like, swarming is the right word to me. They completely swarmed them every single time. Every single time.
Well, so here's the difference. It'd be interesting to know what like the ratio was for some other games. Of the 22 turnovers, 15 were steals, Sam. So like when we talk about live ball versus dead ball turnovers and stuff, a steal is going to be a live ball turnover. Every Thunder starting player had at least one steal, and then Caruso and Kaysen off the bench had 4 each. So they got 8 steals from their bench. And by the way, 12 blocks to go along with all of those steals. 27 stocks tonight for the Thunder. That is, to your point, very much swarming defense.
It really is. Nate Duncan just had a stat here on Twitter. Removing Magic Johnson's 1989 game in the finals where he left after 5 minutes. Tyrese Halliburton is the first all-NBA player to miss every shot he took in an NBA Finals game since 1958. 1958. Bryce, look, he's hurt. Like, yeah, I'm not sitting here saying that it's Halliburton's fault that we're here. You know what I mean? But it is to the point though, where I don't think they can win if he's at this level.
Agreed.
Is the reality.
Yeah.
That's what makes it hard. Do we think this is done?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to count out the Pacers because I have more respect for them than that.
Yeah.
But I go back to the same line. I've believed in this OKC team since before the season, during the regular season, going into the playoffs, going into the series. I don't know what's happened, especially after tonight and Halliburton's injury, that makes me think that even if they lost game 6, they wouldn't win game 7. And so, I mean, I guess if you're asking me if it's over in terms of if Thursday night's going to be it, I wouldn't say that as confidently. I still think the Thunder win the series, and I wouldn't be shocked if it's game 6 because of Halliburton's situation. I'm struggling to find the path to a Pacers win, even at home. I think OKC will have the right mentality going on the road to try to close that out.
It really comes down to if Hallie is healthy in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. Like, if he's not, tonight he genuinely looked like he was gutting it out and was playing at like 60%.
Sure.
I thought. If he's at like 90% after a couple days off, like if he wakes up and it feels good, like for whatever reason, I think they can definitely win game 6. Like, for sure.
Yeah.
If it's like the same as it was tonight, I don't think they really have a shot, because this is just the worst team to have to play when he's not at his best. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The other thing I was going to say real quick too is we've talked mentality with Halliburton at times. Injuries can mess with people's mentality. And so like a guy who at times, I think it's fair to say we would like to see be more aggressive, especially for his own scoring. When you're playing through an injury, that could make that even worse. Like it could make him even more of a distributor, where in that scenario, it's like, okay, yeah, he's 85%, but we're getting the 10 field goal attempts and 9 assists Halliburton, not the 17 field goal attempts and 12 assists Tyrese Halliburton. And I think they need that Tyrese Halliburton to go ahead and finish this thing off. I guess extend it to game 7.
This is my thing. Like, even tonight, from like a mentality perspective, like, you know, completely agree with you. But like, do you think he would have been capable of attempting like was he capable of creating 15 good looks tonight against that defense?
I don't think so. I was going to ask you this. Is there, let's say he's 70%. Okay. Is there a world where you can play him in a different role and use him that way? Like just use his floor spacing. Because what I did think he did tonight was turn down a couple catch and shoot opportunities. Like I wouldn't expect him to shoot like this step
like,
back.
So like Bryce, like you've gone through this, like
I
physically.
Have. Correct.
Like it completely throws off your rhythm when you have like a lower body injury, like a lower leg injury like that. As a shooter, I mean, like let alone, you know, as a point guard who's like trying to push off of that leg constantly and like make plays, like it fucks with you as a shooter too.
It does. And that the part I struggle with was I was so slow to begin with and did so little off the bounce. The ACL didn't affect my game in that way, but the trust factor matters a lot. And like trusting, planting, you know, footwork, all of that stuff, energy, like getting your energy into it, the landing, like I tore my ACL landing on a foot, like whatever. So it's like every time I went to land, it was like, okay, is this going to be okay or not? So, and over time you get over it. Well, I had time to figure that out. Tyrese Halliburton has 3 days and he's playing in the effing NBA finals. You know, the pressure difference there is quite significant. And so, yeah, that's what makes me nervous with this is, you know, what can we get from him? And it sucks because this series has been incredible and he's had some huge moments and I don't want it to be a thing where it's like, man, OKC goes in there and Indiana fights hard, but they just don't have the high end juice to really keep it competitive because this has been so much fun. And it sucks for Tyrese because he's going to get called out because people like to pile on with him. And this right now doesn't seem like something he could help. Like, I don't know what he was supposed to, what do people want him to do tonight? I know people are like, sit down. I'm like, really? We want just, I don't know. It's a tough situation.
It's a really, really tough situation to me. I don't think that they can win if he's not at least 85 to 90%. And I just, tonight, I didn't see that. I hope that I do see it in game 6 is what I would say. It's just really, really difficult for them to create any offense. And you bring up the idea, can he play off the ball? Right. Well, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I don't know that I've seen like Nembhard, play all that well on the ball since game 1, if I remember correctly, was the one where they shifted him off the ball and he played really, really effectively. He has to guard Shai. Like, he's dealing with all sorts of shit on the other end. Like, and again, credit to them. Like, that's how you wear dudes down, is like you run Shai off of all these crazy off ball actions, right? It gets tiring. Like, maybe you can run TJ out there a little bit more, but I mean, dude, like I love TJ. Shout out Chartiers Valley. I got it right last time. We'll shout it out again. My beautiful Pittsburgh brother, TJ McConnell. But like, he was amazing tonight. He had 18, 4 and 4, but I mean, can they beat Oklahoma City if TJ McConnell's their starting point guard?
Well, and the issue there is then you're going to play super small because you put TJ on Shai and like it's the same thing with Nembhard. And so that's what's tough as well. Like, I don't know, maybe you can facilitate.
You put TJ on Dort is what you would do, but yeah.
And then just play all of them together. I don't know. Maybe they can run more stuff through Siakam. Maybe like that's it. Like, just throw it all on his shoulders on the offensive end. I hope you get a bin math game or something like that. I don't know. I've said this. We've said this throughout the whole series, throughout the whole playoffs. All NBA Tyrese Halliburton gives this team a chance to win an NBA Finals. Anything less than that, I don't believe in it as much in terms of the high-end NBA Finals outcome. And whether that was Tyrese's mentality over a few games in the series, or unfortunately what we're talking about now, anything that limits that is a major issue for it would be for anybody, Sam. It's not a Tyrese or a Pacers flaw. Any team needs their best player to play at an all NBA level for them to win a championship. And unfortunately, it's a little bit scary right now if he's going to be able to do that for a game 6 and a game 7 after what we just watched.
We got to shout out our girl, Kirtika Utaya Kamar, who Bryce shouted out on the show.
She has the best stuff.
Episode.
She's like my favorite follow on Twitter and Blue Sky right now. She has amazing stuff right after the game is over.
Genuinely amazing. So I was going to ask you the question.
Okay.
Is there any way that J-Dub can win finals MVP for you?
My gut reaction is no.
Part of the reason that my immediate reaction was, wait, there might be a world here. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has his 15th 30-point game of the playoffs, the most by any player in a single postseason since Kobe Bryant in 2009. Guys, I think Shai is winning this thing if they win it. This is going to be Shai. I'll put it up on the screen so folks can maybe follow her. Yeah, she's had some really fun stats. It's been amazing. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, really, really. I think that this is probably Shai's at this point. Yeah, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 15th 30-point game of the playoffs, most by a player in a single postseason since Kobe Bryant. She also had another one.
No, yeah, read the other one. 3 minutes later, it gets better.
Yeah, so, that wasn't even the one I was going to read out. So she had one. The Pacers have lost back-to-back games for the first time since March 10th, 99 days ago. They're down in a series for the first time this playoffs. The one that I liked the most, and again, shout out to her finding these numbers. I absolutely love it. Oklahoma City has scored 476 points off turnovers this playoffs, the most by a team in a single postseason since play-by-play tracking began in 1997. The Celtics held the previous record, 461. And Oklahoma City has another game to go, off and try and really extend that record out. So, yeah. I mean, look, it's just that they're an absolute menace to deal with in transition. They're really tough to deal with defensively. That feeds into the transition play. They're so good at just sprinting out and trying to get options. Like, this team's really tough. This team's really, really tough to deal with.
That SGA stat continued with, it's the first since Kobe in 2009 and one of four with Kobe, the Dream, and Michael Jordan. Those
that's insane.
Yeah. Fourth player in NBA history to score 30 plus points in 15 plus games over a playoff run. Kobe, Hakeem Olajuwon, Michael Jordan.
Yeah, like I'd be all for J-Dub, getting finals MVP. Like I think he's played really well, but there's just no way you can do it. Shai has been incredible throughout the entire course of the playoffs to this point. I think J-Dub would have to go if J-Dub goes for like 45 or something in game 6, I think there will be a like recency conversation, because the people who vote on those awards, A, it's small sample size, but B, the people who vote on those awards like have to vote on it pretty quick. Honestly, like it's a little bit strange in that way.
Yeah.
So you could like get, caught up in the moment or something, but I think it's got to be Shai at this point.
Yeah, I agree. And he's had there's been some defensive stuff at times, but like he's put up he's put up decent defensive numbers, which makes it a little like, he's averaging over 4 stocks per game. So it's a little bit better than good just in terms of disruption. The bounce back assist games today, I think helps like even solidify it even more. So yeah,
I think that's absolutely right. I think that's absolutely right. For Indiana, I do want to shout out Pascal Siakam here. Yeah. We probably haven't talked enough about how good he was in this game.
He really was.
The defense, he's flying everywhere. He's working like the turnovers and the way he's reading the court. It's not great against how heavy pressure the defense is, but that's like the only thing you can complain about here. 28 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. He's everywhere in help defense, like everywhere in help defense against Indiana right now, or against Oklahoma City right now. The shot creation is massive. Getting to the foul line consistently. He is so special as a basketball player to me. He honestly, I think that he's regarded. Where would you say Pascal Siakam is regarded as a player? Like, is he a top 30 player, top 20 player in the league? Like, coming into the playoffs, what would you have said?
By the general fan base?
By the like general public?
General public? Oh, no. I don't think most people would have had him as a top 30 player.
I don't even think it's close. He's like definitely a top 30 player.
Yeah, no, but, I'm not disagreeing.
And I'm not disagreeing. I'm not saying that you're saying that. I'm saying that like,
yeah,
I don't disagree that, the public might not see him as a top 30 player. He is 100% a top 30 player in the league. I think he's probably a top 20 player in the league, if we're being honest.
I feel like I understood his game and his impact. It's opened my eyes even a little bit more. Even a game like tonight, I was like, God, he's so good. We talk about this Oklahoma City team that's so good defensively, and there's times where they really struggle to handle him, Sam. Like they really struggle if they don't have the exact right matchup and guys in the right position. Like they're running, if you're getting OKC to run doubles at you, you're doing something right, because they have a lot of really good individual defenders. And as we highlighted earlier, he brings it on the defensive end as well. So I am with you that he has been insanely impressive. Even in a loss tonight, he was really impressive. And I think he's moved up my ranks throughout these playoffs as I've got a chance to really watch him even closer and appreciate him.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I've always kind of had him in that top 20 to top 25 bucket. I've just always been a huge fan of his game. I love how hard he makes it the opposition because he's such a mismatch nightmare. I love how hard he plays. That's the other thing that like goes way underrated. His motor never stops. He runs the court as well as any player in the league.
That's very true. Yeah. Watch how, maybe not in this series, but watch a regular season game next year and count how many times he outruns his opponent in transition, where they either start at the same spot or he's behind and then runs past them, because he is a transit. He's awesome in transition, and he can't just, he'll outrun you. He'll also run down there and post you up and then, get a bucket on you. So real versatility to his game.
Yeah. Like he's probably the most anonymous, like multi-time all NBA player who's still a star in the NBA. You know what I mean? Like he's made all NBA in 2020 and 2022. And then last year, in 2023, I'm sorry, he was 22nd in voting. Didn't really get any votes last year because he switched teams mid-year after the calamitous Toronto start for everybody. And then this year he got like a couple of votes, if I remember correctly. Not like anything crazy in terms of all NBA voting, but he was on the list, right? Like he was probably like 22nd or 23rd among players again. So yeah, I mean, we need to respect Pascal Siakam a little bit more. You just look at the list of guys that like were ahead of him in terms of players. I'll read off the players ahead of him that made all NBA, right? Or didn't make all NBA. I'm sorry. You definitely take him over Sabonis, right?
Mm-hmm.
You definitely take him over Darius Garland, right?
Yes.
You take him over Zubats?
So I think Siakam can obviously be the number 2 option on a title contender offensively. I don't know if I believe Zubac can be that. So I guess there would be a little bit of team construct, but I would say Siakam still, right?
I would take Siakam personally. Yes. Jaren Jackson Jr. is the one that I stopped and was like, this is like a question. I think I would take him over Jaren for what it's worth, because I think he's a better shot creator than Jaren is. And I think Jaren is a better defender, but I think teams worry about Siakam way more on offense than they worry about Jaren. And I think Siakam still remains like pretty underrated defensively. Maybe not quite to that all defense level, but like probably a top 30-ish defender in the league, something like that. I think I would take Siakam in all honesty.
It's a fun conversation. My instant reaction would be Triple J. I think I've really come around on his offense, and especially in the opportunities where he's really gotten to play in that role whenever either one of Ja or Bane wasn't there, or, we talked a lot about his growth offensively. So that's a fun conversation though. That one's interesting. Sure.
And then Şengün, we both take him over Şengün right now, right?
Yeah, right now.
Yeah. Not I mean, Şengün has a real chance to get there at some point, but right now I'm definitely taking Siakam.